Man, it has been way too long since my last video, but I'm back better than ever and ready to do some sourcing, so let's jump right into it. All right, so the idea for this video is I'm gonna look for seasonal items, specifically either toys or clothing or beauty products, anything that can be, given as a gift, because we're gonna see these ranks start to drop on some of these products. We're gonna be able to look back at last year's charts to also see when these things started to pick up, and that's what we're gonna look for while we're reverse sourcing. That's what I wanna do today is reverse source. So we're actually just going to search Disney toys, and hopefully we just come up with some listings. So that way we can look at those listings, look who's selling those products, and then reverse source off of that. So ideally we're finding ones that is not sold by Amazon, right? And we can have a couple different sellers on the listing. So it might take a little bit to search for. So even like 9 sellers plus sold by Amazon, something like that, right? We maybe those sellers are waiting to get the buy box from Amazon. Once Amazon sells out, that'd be an interesting chart to look at, or maybe they're sharing the buy box with Amazon. Also, something to keep in mind, because Amazon, again, can't keep the buy box. There's so many different things going on during the Christmas season for them. So they can't afford to just not give other sellers the buy box. Otherwise, they're going to lose out on a ton of sales. So let's open this one in a new tab and then take a look at it. We'll just do that with a couple of these products here. Hopefully we can see, okay, this one is Disney Store bath set, 9 sellers, Amazon's not on it. Already a pretty good rank, so let's open that one as well. If we really wanted to, we could click this button here. It's gonna open the SellerAmp Chrome extension on the side, and then we can search the products there. But I'm gonna open these separately just so we can look at the listing, look at the Keep a chart, and then look at SellerAmp from there. So again, we don't necessarily need to avoid the ones sold by Amazon, especially if there's a bunch of other FBA sellers. That means that they're still getting the buy box, but it has to make sense with the data. So one FBA, 6 FBA. Okay, that one's pretty cheap, so that one might be tough to find profitably. It's another part of the game. You got to find this stuff profitably. Here's one really cheap still. Okay, maybe we'll just reverse source off of these couple listings, because one's Disney, one's Star Wars. That should be a pretty good spot for us. So this one actually is 10, sold by Amazon. It's Lego though. Don't love the Lego listings because those are a whole different beast. So we're going to, let's just jump into these 2 products here and see what we can find. So let's just look at the data on this to start, because we don't really know what's going on. So okay, so a ton of sellers jumped in on this, right? This product was selling at like $17. For some reason, it shot way up to $27. A bunch of sellers saw it profitably at this $27, $29 range. And, FBA, FBM sellers were getting the buy box share, which, man, this is like, if you're buying right here, it's just like almost a guaranteed tank based on, Amazon sharing it. Obviously, like, it's probably super profitable. We probably could find it here, back in like beginning of October for probably, under $10. And then, all these sellers come on the listing, it tanks. Amazon kind of keeps the buy, gets the buy box back from these FBA sellers. And then, they were getting it at 21, Amazon listed at 29. Now it's on sale on Amazon, probably because other websites are discounting it. So they're trying to, match and get the sale there. So, I mean, it went as low as $11, but now it's back up to 17. Not sure if they're sharing the buy box, but a ton of these sellers are probably stuck with a lot of stock and not profitably. So anyway, let's just look at this. Maybe we'll find it somewhere on, okay, so $15 Walmart, GameStop, 17. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the price up here, but if this was $25, you got to be getting it for 10, unless it was on sale at Walmart at one point in the last month. I don't know how they were finding it profitably. Could have went on sale. So, but we'll look at this next product here, but then we'll come back to this and do our reverse sourcing. Look at some of these other FBA sellers, because obviously a lot of them bought this product. And so there's a lot of FBA sellers on the listing, and we can look at a ton of their storefronts to see if there's any other toy sellers that we can piggyback off of and look to see if they have any other good toy listings. But let's look at this product here. Max cost $3, pretty low, which is weird for $19. Okay, we got to make sure we're looking at the right thing here. So it looks like the buy box came back around $36, and then Disney Store came on it at $19.99, probably where you are buying it to sell it at $36. And then they're kind of bouncing around between the $19.99 and the $36.50, $38. A little risky to me to want to buy it here because, you know, Disney Store could jump right back on and be stuck at $19.99 for a long time. Not sure how long they're going to be on this listing. We can see the rank is definitely looking like a good rank here. Definitely reacting well to the Christmas season. But a lot of sellers jumped on the listing recently. We can see the view count. It's a little slow, but anyway, so this price, if we can sell it at the $36, great. If we can't, then, you know, obviously, like, I mean, let's just see, is Disney still on this listing? Disney Store, yeah. They are still on the listing with stock, which is a little nerve-wracking, right? That they could just get a whole bunch more stock and then just own the buy box at this $19.99. You're definitely not profitable at $19.99. A lot of these sellers are probably profitable at $36, but let's just see where we can find this product, because maybe $15 buy cost isn't that hard to achieve, but let's just double check. Okay, yeah, we're looking at this $15 for JCPenney. If that's the same thing, is that a bath set? Yeah, bath play set, okay. These figurines look a little bit smaller than these. These look a little bit larger. So we'll want to keep looking here. Okay, Shop Disney, yep, $19.99, interesting. So what I didn't realize, Shop Disney sells on Amazon as well. That's really interesting. It's probably not a new thing if they're, you know, already have 29,000 reviews, but first time seeing it for me. So it's Target, out of stock. Yeah, it's out of stock on a lot of these sites. That $19.99, if you got a discount, like 20% off, maybe you're getting close. Again, it moves fairly quick. This is not going to be right because of the recent drop. It just is, it's taking a lot of this old data here, right, in the last month. Looking at like a 200K rank in toys is really bad. So that's why it doesn't really have a good estimate here. But if we're sitting at a 20K rank in toys, that's going to sell a couple hundred times a month. So ignore that. But again, the ROI is just a little bit too low. It's kind of a risky play knowing that Disney was just on it recently. So something I will probably avoid. But if other sellers are taking the risk on this, they definitely might have some good listings. So we'll want to check some of their storefronts as well. But let's, now that we've looked at these two products, let's look at some of these other sellers and see if they have any other good products. So my rule of thumb, I'm avoiding sellers with a ton of reviews, like 2,300. Got to be doing some sort of wholesale, or maybe they have private label products in their storefront, because it takes a long time to get reviews. You know, it takes a couple of years just to get even 100 reviews. So to have 2,300, you got to be doing a lot of numbers. It seems unrealistic for OA unless you've been selling OA for 7-8 years, doing huge numbers. And then I also don't love to go after sellers unless there's only a couple on the listing that have less than like 10 reviews. If they have more than 10, then it's kind of tells me that they've been selling long enough that they hopefully are decent at sourcing. So we're not looking at a really bad storefront. Sometimes the new sellers just don't have good storefronts, and it's kind of a waste of time to look through all of their products. Also, they don't have a ton of products, some of those newer storefronts as well. So you're kind of just clicking back and forth, and it just takes up time. So we're going to keep looking here. 36 discount center. Let's just keep moving here. Again, we're going to see what other toys they have. That's what we're looking at here. They have a lot of toys. So this is hopefully a good storefront. Hopefully they have some products that Amazon is not on or dominating. And if they are on it, then we just need to make sure that, the chart makes sense, right? Maybe Amazon always goes out of stock December 1st. Okay, well then that's something to keep on our radar. We do have a seasonal Google Sheet for in Seller Amp, so we can make sure to add it to that list and then take a look at it maybe during Black Friday to see if it's on sale. And then if we hope Amazon goes out of stock, then we can, sell some pretty good units there. This is the Lego products. Again, something I'm going to avoid in this video here. But so we have Barbie Advent Calendar. Definitely the Advent calendars you want to be buying and selling before obviously December 1st, because those calendars start December 1st. If you're selling them on the 15th, well, half the calendar is already done. That's the whole point of the calendar, is to, get the 25 days before Christmas. So definitely just a, common sense word to the wise, get those calendars selling, prior to December 1st. So right now would be a great time to buy them because there's plenty of time to buy those, send them in, and get some of them sold before the December 1st. So, or merchant fulfill them if you really want to. Looks like there's 10 merchant fulfiller sellers on this listing. So 15 max cost. Let's just open this up and see if maybe we can find it profitably. So $34. Looks like FBM seller is getting the buy box. That's good to see. All that data is interesting just to know, right? Looks like FBA sellers are getting it at $39.99. But it's really bouncing between only like 2 or 3 sellers. So that's something to keep in mind as well, even though there's a lot of sellers on the listing. And you do want to check that, right? If it's a lot of like really high review sellers, then maybe it's something you want to avoid. 34K, 24K reviews. Yeah, that's stuff that, you know, it feels like it's going to be hard to share with them. See a couple of lower review sellers, but it's a lot of the large review sellers, maybe the huge wholesalers getting most of the share of the buy box. But I mean, if you're getting some share, then that's not the worst, especially if it moves quickly. I mean, this is a sub 10K rank toys, so that's a really good sign. 39, let's just assume we can sell this for $39.88. Okay, that's a good price. You know, like I said, FBM seller getting it for $34.99. So we're max cost of $15. Barbie advent calendar. Okay, nothing special about it, just 24 days. So we want to make sure we have the exact match, right? So this is Dreamtopia. I don't think that's the same thing. 24, it looks similar, but again, I don't think it's the same product. So we want to make sure we get the exact match, right? That's what people are wanting. Here's one for $39.99. This might be the exact match that we want, but way too expensive. So if we can't find it here, we're going to move on. Kohl's Dreamtopia. Yeah, it's not the right one. Target advent calendar. Yeah, I don't think we're going to find this one profitably. $15 is a little bit low for us. So we're just going to keep moving on, right? We looked at a couple products here. Let's G.I. Joe, $10. Just all the RA I used to do in the past, I think that might be a little bit low, especially for like this action figure vehicle. $10 is going to be pretty hard to hit. And the price has kind of tanked recently. We're sitting at $40 only a month ago, and it's already at, you know, below 30. So definitely was a good find or a bolo at some point, and then a bunch of sellers jumped on the listing. Let's just look at it to see if my prediction is true. Okay, we have 105 sellers, so wasn't that crazy of a prediction, but I bet you it wasn't even close to 100 sellers maybe a month ago. Let's take a look. Yep, look at that, 33 sellers. It did go up slowly over time, but in the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks, we went from 33 sellers all the way to 105. So I don't know who threw this on their leads list, but not a good idea. $39 we were selling for, all the way down to 27. I mean, 39, right? People were getting this for 18, and then we're looking at, or yeah, people might have been buying this for, you know, under $18 profitably. Now $18, you're losing $4 on this. Oh, that's a major tank. So that's the tricky thing about some of these listings. You got to make sure that, you know, hopefully it's a little bit harder to find. It's not just an easy like Walmart homepage promoted in the toy section, because a lot of people are going to find that product. So glad we didn't get tangled up in something like this. Barbie Ken doll from the movie. Okay, so let's, we see that this thing took off in September when the movie came out, obviously. Now we're sitting around $40, pretty steady though, it looks like. So let's open up this listing and see what we can find. All right, so yeah, this is another bolo. Definitely people were selling it over here for make and bank back in September, and then everybody jumped on it. Still 170 sellers on the listing. Buy boxes in and out. Not a great sign. I mean, the rank is decent, but for however many sellers, what we can do too is just look at the supply versus the demand, right? And this isn't gonna tell us everything, but what we can do is look at the total stock count versus what is selling. So we can see that, you know, in the last 30 days, around 600 sales, around 650 stocks. So it's not a horrible, you know, it's super lopsided. What we wouldn't want to see is like 1,000 stock and like 200 sales, because that just means that the price is going to tank even further. But maybe that, you know, supply to demand ratio is pretty steady which is why the price is kind of staying around that $40 mark. So again, if you can find this profitable and the rank stays solid, and, you know, maybe over the Christmas season, this thing continues to sell and some sellers fall off, maybe that price can creep up a little bit further too. Definitely something to keep an eye on. What I do like about this listing is that the price is so steady as of late. I mean, we've been super elevated in sellers and we don't see a ton of them fall off either. But you know, the price hasn't tanked. So that's a good sign. I mean, it obviously tanked from the beginning, but this is way inflated. I mean, who's paying $150 for one Barbie when you wait a month and you can get it for 45, over half off? So what we can also look at here is the stock here. This isn't, I don't know how accurate this is, but if you hover over, all of the, I guess it's going to take a while to look here, but we can already see in the first 30 sellers, it says there's 300 stocks. So the stock might be higher than that 600. See, some sellers by themselves have over 100 units. Not sure how they bought 100 units, or maybe they just spammed it. But yeah, hopefully they're not losing money on that, because let's just see what we can find this for. Again, this might be a good lead like in December. Take a look at it, see if it's profitable or not. So $24.90. Again, they're not losing money at this price, but a lot of them maybe are holding to see if this goes up or not, or they're listed at, $50 to hopefully try to make back some of their money, because I mean, we don't see a ton of fall off on the sellers of this listing. The reviews are going up like crazy, which means it's selling pretty well and it's selling fast. You see the rank is really good, but the sign that the sellers are not dropping off means maybe some of them aren't really listed to get the buy box because they're not going to make enough money and they're maybe holding. So anyway, something to add to the seasonal sheet, because a month from now, this might be a really good product. So let's keep moving. Get through a bunch more products before we end this video here, but we have another Barbie product, $13. Again, price looks pretty steady. Let's just quick jump into Google and see if we can even find this profitably. $33. We need this for 13. So it's not a good sign when the Amazon buy box is lower than what the stores are selling it at. That's the product you just move on. Time to move on. So again, we won't spend too much time on that. And this seller, at first glance, right, they have a lot of toy listings, but at first glance, it seems like they are buying a lot of bolos, some Lego, a lot of products that there are a ton of sellers on, which means maybe they're buying from a leads list. Maybe they're not quite as good at sourcing, because they're buying a lot of these products that have so many sellers on them. And even like this price, right, from like $24 down to $22, like, or whatever this is, this might be worse than that. They're listed at $16. It's like, if you're buying this expecting to sell at 24 and it goes down to 16, like that's just so hard to be profitable on. So we got to really be careful with some of these listings. Do your research on where you're finding this product, right? If 3 different websites have it profitably at this high price here, maybe don't go super deep. Don't buy 50 units and it takes 3 weeks to check in because everybody else had the same idea. And all of a sudden, by the time your product is checked in, the price is at $20 or $15. And now instead of making $8, you're going to lose 2. And you have all these units. And now you're, what do I do with this inventory? And that's going to happen over and over again. You can see this seller, 114, 155, 104, 102, 177, 105. It looks like they're just buying a bunch of these bolos, expecting to make a ton of money, then the price tanks. Expecting to make a ton of money, then the price tanks. Expecting to make money, price tanks, over and over again. So for me, that's a sign to move on from this list, from this storefront. Let's keep looking at a different one, because they just aren't giving us a good sense of hope that they're going to have some good products in there. So again, we're going to keep looking for that mid-level, above 10, below 1,000 would be good. 700 seems still a little bit high, but 737, that's decent. 282, that's good. 98,000, yikes. Brian's doing pretty well. Okay, 950, 260. Let's try to find one a little bit less than the 200 range. Again, we can be picky because there are so many sellers in this listing, but 118, let's try that. All right, a lot more listings overall, which is hopefully a good sign. Hopefully Amazon's not on all of them. We see the first couple here. It looks like they're doing a lot of home products, which tells me maybe they're doing some wholesale. Don't love their storefront so far. Let's just sort by the toys and games category. See Amazon on a lot of these, also not a great sign. Amazon's not on this one, but $5. 22 offers, not horrible. That might be a little tricky to hit $5, but let's just look into it just to make sure. 16, okay. All right, price is fairly steady. We're looking at $17 actually. It's closer to the buy box, but $5. Again, that's going to be really tricky to hit, I think. Yep, Walmart's $26. Yeah, those are the products that you're like, who's buying that? Really, you know, $16. The cheapest you can get it is $26, which means even if it goes on a 50% off sale, you're not even close to this $5 range. So unless they're wholesaling, that is not a great sign, which again, this seller kind of gives me wholesale vibes based on the type of products they're selling. And some of these toys, it's like, how do you know, $12 for something like this, maybe you can get that in store. Let's just do a quick Google search and then we might switch sellers because, so 24. And again, some of these toy stores too, you got to really do your check the trust pilot, you know, make sure that it's a reputable store. Like, are we sure Pack Turtle is a good site? Maybe it is, maybe not. But I know there's definitely some sketchy stores that sell toys. So just make sure. I'm not seeing this exact one any cheaper than that. And again, we need to get this for $12. Maybe that's like a Target clearance section product, but we're going to keep looking here. I actually might move off of this seller and go to a different one just because. Not loving the products that they listed here. Okay, again, $2. 50 sellers in the listing. I mean, the product definitely tanked a little bit, but the buy box is 15. I mean, we're looking at like a $16 buy box most of the time here. So to find this for $2.30, I mean, that's not going to be profitable in any retail store. So we're going to move on. That looks too much like a wholesaler. So 30, that is way more up my alley, even though it says wholesale. It could just be the storefront name, but let's just see what types of products they have here. So again, Amazon's on some of these, don't love that. This one has been up recently from when Amazon had it at such a low price, but no buy box, but it is selling at $25, which means max cost is $11. Let's just look at, see if we can find this. Okay, $12.99. Now we're getting a little bit closer. So let's open the Amazon listing just because we know that it's closer to our price range. I mean, finally, we're finding a product that might be good to purchase. So let's look at the data, break it down, make sure that everything looks nice. Okay, so we see obviously the offer count shot up because Amazon's off the listing, not selling it at $11.99. Now we can sell this, you know, at $23, $24, $23.35. Okay, so let's look. It's not super old of a product. But if we look at the current trend, it looks fairly steady right around that $23, $24 range. And depending on if they sell out of the stock, when Amazon's on the listing, right, this thing sells. And when it's at the lower price, we get a sub 10K buy box in the toy category. That's really sells really fast. We're kind of seeing this slight downtrend as of recently, right? We kind of peaked around this like 100K rank average over mid-October, but now that we're coming into middle of November, we can see the rank dropping, which is a good sign. And $10 max cost, we're seeing this for $12.99. Entertainment Earth, hopefully that's in stock there, but at least we're getting a price that's semi-reasonable here. Big Bad Toy Store, $13.99. If we can get a discount there, that would be nice. Again, we're getting closer, but that's a good sign that we might find some products here in the storefront. So let's keep looking. 46 cents, really? Okay. Moving on. $6 might be a little cheap. $17 for a video game. Okay, that's a little bit more reasonable. Let's look at the Amazon listing. We want to see the chart because there is a lot of variations, but if the rank is good, PS5, I mean, that's going to be probably one of the best sellers of the variation. 5K, that's not horrible for video games, but what I like is the steady price that's kind of slightly going up, you know, in the last little while. The rank is not amazing, especially with all the different variations, but if we can see this selling at $39.95, FBM 33, but we still see $39 buy box FBA sellers. So 34, if we can get this for 39, puts us at a max cost of 20, which is a lot better. Let's see if this variation sells well at all. So see, PS4 does the best. Bummer. PS5 actually, where are we? Here we go. Okay, so it definitely has a lot of reviews, a lot of ratings, I mean, but it's not the top selling variation. See that the PS4 version is. So it doesn't hurt to look, right? Xbox One, PS4, look to see if websites are selling that discounted, right? Maybe because it's an older version, but it is the best seller. but all of them seem to be on a nice upward trajectory of the ratings. So, you know, all of these probably sell a decent amount. So we're going to stick with the PS5 game. And if this goes on sale during Black Friday, we can see PS5 $19.99. We need this for $20. Here we go. Found our first lead. Whoa. $19.99, 35% ROI, sold for $7. Again, some of these FBM sellers are getting the buy box at a little bit lower price, but for the most part, FBA sellers over the last month or two have been getting this buy box at $39.99. Not a ton of sellers in the listing, but still, you know, 20 sellers. The variation isn't amazing. We can kind of see who's selling this and who's getting the sales. It only estimates 3 here, but there's a lot of question marks, right? We can include historical. Now that shows a little bit more for us. Again, maybe some of the FBA or FBM sellers fell off the listing. We don't see any FBA sellers except for this one, which is interesting. But definitely some of the FBA sellers are getting the buy box. A lot of stock on a product like this, not great. Get rid of used, doesn't change the numbers too much. Buy box statistics, hopefully we see some lower level sellers getting the buy box. Okay, we do. So this one FBA seller is dominating, but we can see that some of these lower level FBM sellers and FBA, I guess, are getting some of the buy box shares. So that's a good sign. So definitely would pick up a few copies of this. Pay attention to it over you know, Black Friday and into December, because maybe that rank drops. We can actually look at last year's chart and we can see that the rank is in 2K range. And the price is actually, you know, up at that $40 for December. So that's a really good sign. So definitely something to keep an eye on, right? The product is selling pretty well and consistent at this price. Once the price starts to go up, sellers fall off a little bit. The rank is a little bit higher, but again, might start to drop again once we get to December. So keep an eye on that. Since we found a product here that's profitable, $7, 35%, let's end on that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Did a lot of sourcing here. The reverse sourcing is going to be super important, especially if you find some good storefronts. Keep an eye on those storefronts, right? Maybe track them. Look at some of their products that they're picking up for December, because they might be finding a lot of good leads and you won't have to do as much work to find good leads because you can just look at their good leads, right? So definitely a good strategy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.